It's called the Freshman 15. Students are away from the prying eyes of parents and they get to make their own decisions, returning home feeling a little bit heftier. But the Freshman 15 can last long after the first years of college, and it can actually set students up for a lifetime of long-term health problems.
Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, diseases that have a strong correlation with diet, but when it's crunch time, students are doing whatever they can to stay alert.
Everyone jokes that you procrastinate a lot and so you end up staying up later, but a lot of times it's just you don't have enough time in the day to get everything done, and so you end up staying late, and then you end up being hungry because it's late and you have to eat again, and then a lot of times you don't have a lot of healthy choices that late, and so you go towards, your sugary cereals and your chocolate and all those bad snacks that you shouldn't really have.
We do. We resort to food. Pizza's the easiest thing. $5 pizza from Little Caesars. It's easy and it's what most college students do.
When students indulge in foods high in sugar, sodium, and fat, researchers like Dr. Andrea Kozak have found that this may lead to cravings that are so strong, it's similar to craving a drug.
There's some research that suggests that what happens in the brain when you are in that state actually is similar to consuming a substance, basically. You get a high, it relieves stress, it lifts your mood.
Falling into the food addiction trap, students have found it hard to steer clear of the foods that have been linked to life-threatening diseases.
The #1 cause of death in our country is cardiovascular disease, and obesity is a huge risk factor for that. Type 2 diabetes is also on the list. We spend a lot of money in this country late in people's lives. So in the last decade that someone is living, that's when we spend the most amount of money on them, because this is when they have these diseases. You can't wait till that point. They have to get on this much quicker.
I think about my health, but not exactly in terms of what am I doing now that'll affect it later, like with stress. I try to focus on healthy eating habits and try to get enough sleep, but I'm terrible at that. Obviously, it's almost 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just starting working again.
You want the best health profile possible. Now, are you going to be perfect on everything? No, we're human. But you want to be in a place where you can do things to then get yourself back on track.
Realizing comfort food is only temporary relief. Students are trying to cope with stress in other ways, like forming study groups or holding each other accountable to live healthier lives.
There's actually a group of us that are regulars every single night. We see each other here all the time.
When working out does lower the risk of health issues, if your eating habits are taking you down the path of least resistance, you are still at risk. Dr. Kozak encourages students to respond in ways that makes those healthy habits stick.
You need a plan, you need support, you need to take small steps, and you need to make sure you're making changes at the right time.
Eating badly happens, but it's not a fleeting thing, especially when you're on campus trying to develop these new habits. But by understanding the long-term impacts that stress eating can have, the Freshman 15 can be reduced, and students can set themselves up for success outside the classroom. Reporting on Oakland University's campus, Caitlin Wilson, Local 4.